Bonjour guys, so as you can see, back in London again this week, and that's kind of what I want to talk about this video, the power of changing your environment. Because I've done this multiple times over the last 4 years since I was 19, and each time I've changed my environment, my life has transformed in ways like you could not possibly imagine. So the most obvious place to start is the fact that where I'm from, a tiny little village in the middle of nowhere, well technically a town, there's not much that goes on there, right? Like most people that are born there, kind of stay there, they raise their family there, whatever. That's fine, there's not a problem with that, but I think oftentimes when you stay in the same place, your ability to see what possibilities there are in the world is kind of limited by all of the people around you. So if most of the people around you haven't traveled, haven't necessarily built a business, haven't tried to do cool stuff with their life, again, not a problem if that is you, but then obviously your brain, you're not going to see that as a possibility. However, as soon as you kind of remove yourself from that situation and put yourself in an environment like London or like New York or a big city really, where there are so many more opportunities, you all of a sudden see that kind of box that you were left in, and you only realise, I suppose there's a new part of you when you go to these places and you see, what other sides of the personality there are. Like if you're outgoing, for the longest time I thought I was a bit of an introvert. Started coming to big cities and I was like, oh, maybe still am, but maybe a little bit more confident than I thought. So that's the first kind of thing. And the second thing that I think is really powerful about environment change, beyond just showing you a different personality, is I kind of, sorry if you can hear a train, I kind of discovered when I was 19. Now at this point, I'd stayed in my hometown, it was just after COVID, and I was like, I really want to change, I want to do something kind of drastic. And I heard about this thing called Camp America, and it's pretty cool, right? You could go, you could get paid to go work away in America. It's it sounded great, and that just gave me a really good opportunity to go and take that little first risk. So I did that. Ended up meeting my ex-girlfriend there. We hung about, we traveled around America, then I went back to Mexico, and then kind of from that point I discovered oh, okay, I really love traveling. You just kind of discover that new part of me. And although that relationship didn't last a while, but that was a real turning point in my life, because I realized oh, you can literally just go to a new country where you don't really speak the language, and it forces you to just adapt, and it shows how I suppose resilient we are in new situations. And I think that's kind of brings me on to the final point of I guess the point is we get a lot of choice in our life over the problems that we have, right? You see it all the time. People can find small problems to complain about, what's on TV tonight, or oh, my job's slightly annoying, or oh, I'm stuck in my commute, and that's fine. But I think oftentimes these are the kind of problems you have when you haven't changed your environment. Because when you do, this might sound stupid to some of you, but when you do change your environment, change where you are, you also realise that you can drastically change all of the other problems that you have in your life. So you go from having a problem of oh, that doesn't seem safe. You go from having this problem of oh, I don't know, your neighbour's annoying you or whatever, so all of a sudden you just realise there's so many bigger problems you can choose to have. For example, one of the problems I'm facing now is oh, how am I going to train my team member or my new hire in the agency to help me with some of the tasks that we're doing? How is the best way to order everything? And that's a pretty amazing problem to have, right? If you told me 4 years ago that I'd be running my own business, having an agency that works with some pretty awesome clients, hiring other people to come and work with me, that's the problem I'm trying to solve, versus what are we going to watch on TV tonight? I think that's pretty cool. And it all goes back to the fact, I wouldn't have discovered any of these parts of me, oh, I kind of always knew I wanted to be a bit of an entrepreneur, but I wouldn't have discovered any of these parts of me had I not initially left my hometown, put myself kind of outside of my comfort zone, and then consistently just proved to myself over time, I guess, that I can deal with problems. I can go to a place where I don't speak the country by myself and survive and make mates, and it's fine. And I just think it's one of the most powerful things you can do, just to change your environment if you want to radically change your life. So I hope that helps some of you. Let me know what else you want me to chat about. Yeah, I can already feel The speaking skills are still improving. This little talking to camera challenge, so it's cool. Like, you can just come out in public and nobody really cares. Look, just in the middle of London. In many ways, it's almost weirder, like chatting at home, than it is in the central London. You just realise everybody else is in their own like world or whatever. But yeah, I hope that helps some of you, maybe inspires some of you, and it's just cool to look back on. I'll catch you in the next one. Adios.